Hi. So I have a problem with alcohol. Is it an alcohol addiction? Am I an alcoholic? I don't know. I don't go drinking every day. I don't go out to buy a bottle every day and drink it. I don't go to the bar every day and have a bunch of drinks, and my savings are not depleted on alcohol. However, I do have an issue with going to alcohol when I'm sad and then just getting wasted, and I think in the back of my mind I always knew that I was doing this, but it was definitely like an epiphany, if you will, one of those moments in March way back when, and I made a little short video about the fact that I had an issue, but I never fully expanded on it until we had a bit of an issue again recently. Actually, I can't remember, and maybe that is telling, but back in March there was an incident, and even before that, last October, I had an incident, and I would go to the bar. I was super sad and I just wanted to drink my feelings, and the bar was getting ready to transfer to a whole different menu the next day, and that was a great excuse, right? Oh, I want to try every single one of these drinks, so I had 5 cocktails in that day. And yeah, I was very, very drunk, and I also remember I walked home. I walked up a couple blocks back home, and I was drunk, and I was on Facebook Live on my personal page, just so, people can make sure I wasn't getting kidnapped or something on the way back from the bar, right? And back in March, there was another incident, and I remember I was driving home. This was before the bar, by the way. Thought to myself, I'm not gonna go to the bar. Let's not go to the bar. I don't need to go to the bar. But I did end up going to the bar. Definitely got pretty drunk, and it was to the point where I was running my mouth, not angrily, I was just running my mouth about my problems to the guy beside of me. And I remember he invited me back to his place, and I didn't go. But there was definitely a possibility that could have happened, or it could have happened whether I wanted it to or not, just because I was so drunk off my ass. Although, I don't know if the bartender would have picked up on that. But yeah, that was a problem. And I remember eventually getting home somehow, some way. I threw up a lot. I don't normally get sick from drinking. The last time I remember is around, I don't know if it was around my birthday or if it was in the fall sometime, because Buffer Festival in Toronto, and there was a moment where rum made me very sick. It didn't matter how much of it was. I just got very sick from that. Oh, but then there was another buffer where I actually did black out, but we were watching Food Network. I was watching Chopped, and I just fell asleep. But I did end up getting sick while I was asleep. But that was a happy moment in time where I was drinking that, and also I don't think I realized that the screwdrivers that I had were doubles. But typically I don't really get sick from drinking or really hungover, but in March, I did get sick. I threw up and then went to sleep and whatever. And there was also a time where, I don't know if this is kind of related, but I don't know, there were times definitely that I would just drink and hope that I wouldn't be around the next day. So I'd be using it to drown my feelings and hope that, it would do something for me that I just didn't have the guts to do. And in that night, there was me just posting a bunch to the void on Facebook, but only one person was able to read that because I had a very specific list. They weren't very fond of that moment happening, and I got the cold shoulder for 4 days. And I was like, okay, cool, I'm going to lose essentially my best friend here, the one person that's been in my immediate life since I moved, and they weren't crazy over the fact that, hey, self-destructive behavior, because they've also had to deal with that from other people and also themselves back in the day. And it was an eye-opening moment for me, and that's when I was like, yeah, I definitely have a problem. 'Cause when I'm drinking socially, like at a dinner with friends or whatever, and I'm not specifically sad during that day, it really isn't an issue. Is that a bad thing to say? Is that something that an alcoholic would say? I don't know. I'm just talking about my feelings and we can discuss it together. I'm in therapy, by the way, again, so we're talking about that too. Yeah, if I'm socially, like if I'm out dinner with a friend, it's celebratory. If I can have one drink, maybe 2 tops, and that's it. I'm also not chugging them, you know, to try to feel something or not feel something, I guess. Social drinking usually is a problem for me, but when I'm going to the alcohol specifically because I'm upset and I want to be done with life, that is a very big problem. And the last time I drank was actually at the kink party that I went to, and that was, I remember I had 2 drinks because one, I was nervous about being there by myself even though I met somebody new that I kind of hung around with. So I've been sober or whatever for 6 weeks and 42 days, although does it still count if I've had 2 sips? One, I tried a friend's drink because it was ASL social night and I bought him a drink because I owed him. He was talking about it. He was like, oh, this is really good. And he was like, do you want to try it? And my brain was just like, sure. Because I didn't want to mention anything about sobriety, I guess. But also it was a happy moment. I wasn't, you know, sad and whatever. I did only order a mocktail for myself. I was like, sure, and I took a sip and that was it. And then at a holiday thing last week, there was like a little bit in a cup. I denied it at first and then I was just like, to hell with it. A couple of sips, why not? Did I break sobriety then? It's a weird thing about alcohol, like I'm telling my therapist about this, right? And I've talked to a few other people about it. And I was like, because especially my therapist was asking me, are you trying to be sober from alcohol completely, or are you trying to make it so that you're not running to the alcohol when you have a problem? Because like you said, when you're social drinking or there's a happy celebratory moment, it's not bad for you at all. But if you're having a moment where you're very depressed, you're very sad and feeling self-destructive, so are you trying to be sober from alcohol completely, or what is this and that? And in my brain, I guess I'm like, I don't think I'm trying to be sober 100% completely, like forever and from everything, but I'm just trying not to go after that when I'm sad and when I want to be self-destructive. But right now, I am still just trying to be 100% or maybe 99% considering the few sips that I've had in those 6 weeks. I remember I was talking to a friend recently and they were saying sobriety is what you make it. So if you're just trying to reduce the harm, then that also works. And I think my therapist said something similar. It's a very confusing thing, isn't it? I'm not trying to claim that, oh, I'm like perfect and perfectly sober or whatever. I'm just using the word sober because of the app that I have, but I can at least say that I've not run to alcohol to be self-destructive in 6 weeks. Is that a more better way of phrasing it? That does not mean that I haven't been tempted this past week. Again, something horrible happened, kind of. Actually, I thought we were going back to the one moment in March that had me freaking the heck out. And you don't know, well, you might know how badly I wanted to run to the bar and, you know, just try all the espresso martinis. I do want to try the espresso martini. It's not like your traditional espresso martini, it's something else. But I haven't gone. I have not gone yet because I'm trying to, again, chill out. I feel like the more that I reel back on it, 99%, the easier it'll be to separate the two. I don't know if I am making any sense. You can tell me I'm full of crap in the comments, but I think there are some of you out there that might get how complicated this is. Again, I'm not striving for, I guess I should maybe be striving for perfection. I don't know. But I just haven't gone. Mostly because my friend who bartends at the bar that I go to the most hasn't been working. But also I think also one of the reasons is I want to avoid going when she's there and working, because if I break it, I don't want to look bad. I don't know. But also, drinks are expensive and I'm trying to save my money. Because that's also one of the reasons why I'm like, one of the temptations is that I just want to go to something because I'm stressed about potentially being homeless and whatever. And in the next couple months, because work just isn't there, business just isn't there, and I keep freaking out over the possibility of having to either A, be homeless, or B, go back to the abusive childhood home that took 3 decades to get out of. And so I get sad in bed and then I just want to do this, but don't do that because that's bad. But again, you know, aside from those couple of sips, it's been 6 weeks of at least not running because of depression and wanting to be self-destructive. So yay. I was talking to another friend too, the one that is like the best friend, right? And I was like, wait, am I bad because I took like maybe 5 sips total in 6 weeks? And they're like, it doesn't count, don't worry about it. I don't know. But yeah, that is the long version of the short that I made way back when, like March of 2024. I guess I've avoided talking about it because I didn't want to be like, hey, I have a problem with alcohol and I need to reel it in. But I was still having moments after that because then I looked terrible. But then again, I think everyone knows that, you know, nobody's perfect and stuff happens and you just start over. I recently was on Threads like a week ago and somebody was talking about how they were sober for a couple years and then they screwed up one night or whatever and then they were back to being a month sober. And you know, you can always just start over. I mean, Bobby Nash made a life of himself after. That's a 911 reference. But yeah, that's my story. If you got something similar, if you got some insight, I guess, please leave them in the comments. I might do a write-up of this for Patreon or elsewhere, so I'll have that link down below. It might be free, it might be paid, I'm not sure yet, but if you would like to support the work that I do, I have a Patreon, and for as low as $1 a month you get access to lots of content, and the higher you pay, the more content you get, and that's where the writing stuff usually is. Subscribe if you want more updates on this. We could talk more about that, you know, maybe give a few months later update or something like that. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. I definitely appreciate it, and I will see you later.